tribulations, my heart, my balls, my somebody stop me, somebody come and get me. Little did I know that the Lord was riding with me. The law, the light, my heart, the fight, the wrong, the right is gone.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another JVS movie review. Today, I'm bringing you a different type of horror movie that caught me a little bit off guard, and the concept of it is extremely interesting. And the name of this one is Shady Grove. Here's a quick synopsis. A young couple leaves behind their party lifestyle and finds tranquility in an isolated rental cabin, only to realize they have checked into a sinister nightmare as the locals reveal the true reason for their solitude. And it's directed by Resteghini. Hope I'm saying your name right, sir. It also stars Juhahn Jones, Todd Anthony, and Niki McElroy. I know I said that very weird to say it broken up like that, but very quickly about this movie. One, it caught me a little bit off guard. I didn't expect the twists and turns that you get in this movie, and I'm not going to say they're all a positive at all. But the movie just caught me off guard from the very introduction to the film. It really doesn't give you much explanation. You get a young couple who they are coming from a party weekend, and then they decide the last day before they go back to town to go to a cabin and just relax before they go back to their hectic lives with their best friend in tow. And then that's when things get weird. When they get to the cabin, which one, if you ever get to a cabin, never trust a cabin. The key is under a mat. It's never going to end up positive for you. But they get back to the cabin, and then that's when things start getting a little hinky. As they're on the road, they do meet a couple of the local townsfolk. None of it seems weird, but then the best friend decides that he wants to go out on his own because he sees this as an opportunity to party instead of relax. And here's where we get to, I want to say, the main point of the film, in a way, of him meeting these two young women, bringing them back to the cabin, and then craziness ensues. And I mean absolute craziness ensues, including with the story and how it, at times, loses its focus. As we do get the young couple played by Niki, and I'm going to make sure I said his name right again because I don't want to get around. Yeah, Niki and Todd, as they are dealing with their own personal demons. They're dealing with their own personal story here, as we see that they're a couple attempting to rekindle their relationship through some issues of infidelity and trust and everything else, as they're trying to build this back up again. So we get a separate film, it feels like, of the couple attempting to build themselves back up again and using this cabin as a way to hopefully rekindle things before they get back to their hectic lives. And then you get the character played by Juhahn, where it's like he's just the wild child. He's like, man, I just need one more wild thing before I get back to my regular life. So it kind of feels like those three main characters in this film that you get completely separate pieces of a film. That could be the issue at times with this movie, is because Mr. Jones' parts of it can be irritating at times. He does play the more comedic relief element of this horror film, but it doesn't always work, because I think he's much better at times in this film. It's just straightforward about his feelings and his thoughts about their situation, and even his thoughts about not wanting to rest and wanting to experience more things before they get back home. Like, those elements are great. When they get into the overly comedic elements, it just doesn't work. But as it pertains to the couple here, almost every element works with them, because you kind of believe the struggle, you kind of believe the issues they're going through. Granted, it is an unfortunately underdeveloped LGBTQ type of situation with their relationship. It's so underdeveloped that the film focuses a little too much on it, and it doesn't make sense that they will focus on that much on it, because it's never fully developed in the way the film moves. From there, you really get a run-of-the-mill horror movie. Like, no offense, buy it. Like, it is a run-of-the-mill horror movie where you get the surprises, you get the town people who are possibly evil and have sinister motives behind it, clearly. Like, everything is kind of telegraphed. So even when it seems like you shouldn't know what's happening, you're gonna know exactly what's gonna happen. And for some people, I think that can irritate them, is that you're gonna figure out this movie way before you get to the conclusion of it. But especially from Miss Niki, her performance in it is really good. It's really good here, and it kind of overshadows everyone else's performance in this movie. But excuse me, but it works, and it works wonders the way she pulls off her performance in this film. I think you're gonna really like it. Dale's direction is pretty good in this film. Again, it's so by the numbers it can throw you off a little bit, and clearly has a limited budget. You can clearly see it by that point. But at no point in time did I feel like I was watching a cheap run-of-the-mill B movie as I was watching this film. I thought because of the shot selection, because of the setups, that okay, this really looks like a grade A type of film. It's just that at times the plot fails this movie. It is so muddled in what is the purpose of this. And for this to be a horror film, a cabin in the woods type of horror film, there are moments where there is nothing happening in this movie. And in those moments where there's nothing happening in it, it completely takes you out of the horror element. Like, it's a good 15-minute gap in this film where nothing of the thriller or horror aspect of film happens, and it just took me out. I didn't know what to expect at that point. I didn't know if I was watching a drama or completely different element of film. And that's where the film struggles, and that's where I'm going to say most people are going to have their issues with this film. But despite all of that, the direction is good. Niki's performance is really good. Everyone else's is kind of subpar, but she kind of attempts to elevate everyone's performance to the level that she's giving. It doesn't always work. But the direction is good at times in this film. It's just a really, really bad plot. So, Shady Grove, which is releasing today on every VOD platform humanly possible for you to check out. Out of a possible 10, I am going to give Shady Grove a 6 out of 10. Because I can't talk about the full element of the plot, which is the best part of it. Meaning, the full element of the story. I'm not even going to say the plot. The full element of the story. What happens? What's the purpose of it? It's really interesting. It's just not executed well. But Niki's performance is the reason that he got a 6 instead of like a 4. Because she keeps you intrigued just enough that's going to keep you watching this film. At times where I felt like, okay, I'm losing attention, I'm losing focus, I'm losing everything that could make this film great. She just starts to elevate everything. And when she starts to elevate everything, it kept me a little bit more interested than the plot deserved me to be interested in, because I figured out this film within the first 30 minutes of it, exactly what was happening here. But she keeps you so intrigued, she keeps you so engaged, that I think it's going to keep you watching it. In the end, I mean, I think this can be enjoyable to a certain subsect of the horror culture. Granted, it still does not work fully as a horror film, but it works just enough that I think it's going to be enjoyable for some people. Other people, I understand if you don't like this film. It's not going to surprise me, because I see the plot holes in it. I see the issues with it. I see the way it just slows down to almost oh my God. I can't even come up with the word properly to describe how slow this movie gets at certain elements. And it doesn't make sense for it to get that slow. Because while it's that slow, we are still trying to figure out what's going on in the movie. And when it slows down, it's paced that way. It really can take certain people out of this film. But to me, you're going to stick around for Niki's performance, because she kills it in this role. And I think, matter of fact, I know that a lot of people are going to like it just for her performance in it. This has been another JVS movie review. Peace, people.